Undercover black CEO goes to order at his own diner, freezes when he hears two kids behind. Marcus DeWitt tugged at the worn collar of his thrift store flannel shirt, a far cry from the tailored suits that normally draped his athletic frame. The faded jeans and scuffed work boots completed his transformation from Fortune 500 CEO to ordinary guy just looking for a quick bite. He glanced at his reflection in the glass door of Liberty Street Diner, his diner, and barely recognized himself. Just Mark today, he reminded himself, adjusting the plain baseball cap that shadowed his normally recognizable face. No one looks twice at just Mark. The disguise wasn't merely a whim. At 42, Marcus had built DeWitt Restaurant Group from a single food truck into a national chain with 63 locations across the country. But this particular diner, the first brick-and-mortar establishment he'd ever opened, held a special place in his heart. Liberty Street was where his dream had truly taken root 15 years ago, where he'd proved to everyone who doubted that a black chef with big dreams could create something lasting. A bell jingled as he pushed through the door. The familiar scent of grilled onions, coffee, and home fries wrapped around him like an old friend. The lunch rush was in full swing, every red vinyl booth filled with chattering customers, waitstaff hustling between tables. Marcus took his place in the ordering line, carefully observing the operation through new eyes. Things looked different. Not terrible, but not right either. The staff moved with a mechanical efficiency that lacked the warmth he remembered. A young waitress took an order without making eye contact with the customer. The cook behind the line snapped at a server, who asked a question. Marcus frowned. This wasn't the culture he'd built. Next, the cashier called, barely looking up from her register. Marcus stepped forward but was distracted by childish voices behind him. "I don't want to eat here anymore," a young boy's voice whined. "The burgers aren't good like they used to be." "Shh, Mom already ordered," an older voice, probably a sibling, hushed him. Marcus slowed his steps, pretending to search for his wallet while listening. "But Ray makes way better burgers than this place now," the younger voice insisted. "Even if he's kinda grumpy." Ray? Marcus thought. Raymond Johnson had been his head chef here, the man who'd helped create the original menu that put Liberty Street on the map. But Raymond had quit suddenly over a year ago, leaving only a terse resignation letter. It had been a painful loss. Raymond had been more friend than employee. "He said he used to work here," the young voice continued, dropping to what he probably thought was a whisper, but was loud enough for Marcus to hear clearly. "The bad man in charge kicked him out for no reason. That's why he cooks in the alley now." Marcus nearly dropped his wallet. Raymond cooking in an alley? That couldn't be right. Raymond Johnson was an artist with food, a culinary school graduate, who'd chosen to work with Marcus when bigger restaurants had come calling. "Next customer, please," the cashier called again, irritation edging her voice. Marcus stepped up, ordering a classic Liberty burger and fries. Raymond's original recipe, and studied the girl at the register. Her name tag read Tasha. She was new. He didn't recognize her from his quarterly visits. $14.52, she said flatly. The price shocked him. The Liberty burger meal had always been $9.99, an intentional price point he'd insisted on maintaining even as food costs rose. He'd rather absorb the cost than compromise on quality or accessibility. "When did the prices go up?" he asked casually. Tasha shrugged. "Dunno. Before I started. You paying cash or card?" Marcus handed over his cash, choosing not to use a credit card that might reveal his identity. He accepted his change and receipt, noting with displeasure that the itemized costs didn't match what was posted on the menu board. He moved to the pickup counter, positioning himself so he could observe both the kitchen and keep an eye on the two kids who'd been talking about Raymond. They were with a tired-looking woman, probably their mother, settling into a booth near the window. The older boy looked about 12, the younger maybe 8. Both wore clean but clearly well-worn clothes, backpacks still slung over their chairs. The mother kept checking her watch, likely on a lunch break from work. While waiting for his order, Marcus scanned the kitchen through the service window. The kitchen had always been Raymond's domain, immaculate, organized, and running like a symphony. Now it looked chaotic. A harried cook slapped pre-formed patties onto the grill with none of the care Raymond had shown. Another worker dumped frozen fries into oil that didn't look hot enough. A new face appeared in the kitchen, a man in his early 30s, with slicked back hair and a Liberty Street manager's shirt. He barked orders at the staff, pointing accusingly at something out of Marcus's view. The staff visibly tensed when he entered the space. That must be Kyle Henderson, Marcus thought. Kyle had been hired as general manager about 18 months ago on the recommendation of a regional director. Marcus had met him only briefly during a formal inspection visit. He'd seemed competent then, with impressive numbers on paper, but something felt off now. "Order 57, a voice called, and Marcus collected his food. He found a small table with a view of both the kitchen and the two boys. The burger looked the part, the right shape, the right toppings, but one bite told him everything had changed. The meat was bland and overcooked, the bun cold and commercial rather than the bakery fresh ones Raymond had insisted on. The fries were soggy, clearly left sitting too long before serving. Marcus set the burger down, disappointment sitting heavily in his stomach. What had happened to his flagship diner? He watched as the family's food arrived at their table. The younger boy took one bite of his burger and made a face. "See, Tommy? I told you it's not good anymore." Their mother looked apologetic. "We can't afford to eat out often, Denny. Please try to enjoy it." Marcus felt a pang. This was exactly the kind of family he'd built Liberty Street to serve. Working people who deserved quality food at fair prices when they could afford a small treat. He finished enough of his meal to avoid attracting attention, then carefully wrapped the remainder of his burger in a napkin. An idea was forming. The boys had mentioned Raymond cooking in an alley. Could it really be the same Raymond? His old friend would be easy to recognize. Tall, with distinctive gray dreadlocks he'd worn, pulled back in a neat ponytail, and a small scar above his right eyebrow from a childhood accident he'd once told Marcus about. When the family finished their meal, Marcus gave them a head start before following discreetly. They turned right outside the diner, walking toward what locals called the Commons, a small public square 3 blocks away. The boys raced ahead of their mother, clearly excited about something. Marcus maintained a cautious distance, his mind racing. If Raymond really was cooking somewhere nearby, why hadn't he reached out? Why was he apparently telling people he'd been fired when he'd resigned? None of it made sense. The family turned down a side street, and the distinctive smell of perfectly grilled meat, the real Liberty Street recipe, wafted toward him. Marcus's heart began to pound. That precise blend of seasonings had been a closely guarded secret between him and Raymond. As he rounded the corner, Marcus stopped in his tracks. There, tucked in a small alcove between buildings, was a makeshift cooking station, a portable camping grill, a cooler and a weathered folding table. And behind it all stood a man Marcus would have recognized anywhere, even with his back turned. Raymond Johnson was cooking burgers in an alley, just as the boys had said. But unlike the grumpy man description, he was smiling warmly at the children as they approached, his eyes crinkling at the corners despite the weariness evident in his posture. "Well, if it isn't my favorite food critics," Raymond called out, his deep voice carrying the same passion when he spoke about food. "Come to try today's special?" The boys nodded eagerly, while their mother hung back, looking embarrassed. "Boys, we just ate. We can't afford—" "Nonsense, Elaine," Raymond waved her concern away. "These are test recipes. I need honest opinions, and your boys give the best feedback in town. Consider it a professional consultation." Marcus hung back, stunned by the scene before him. Raymond's clothes were clean but worn thin. His once pristine chef's apron was patched in multiple places, yet there was unmistakable pride in how he carefully turned each patty, in the precise movement of his hands as he assembled what looked like perfect burgers on fresh bakery buns. The bad man who kicked him out. The edited security footage. The sudden price increases, the decline in quality. The unhappy staff. Something was deeply wrong at Liberty Street Diner, and Marcus DeWitt, disguised as just Mark, was determined to find out what. But first he needed to understand what had happened to the chef who had helped build his dream. Now cooking masterpieces next to a dumpster, while his former kitchen turned out overpriced, substandard food. Marcus adjusted his cap lower and moved closer, already formulating his approach. Raymond wouldn't recognize him with his new beard and the 20 pounds of muscle he'd added since their last meeting. He could learn the truth without revealing his identity, at least not yet. The CEO squared his shoulders and prepared to meet his old friend as a stranger, a cold knot of anger and determination forming in his chest. Someone had betrayed his trust, damaged his business, and apparently destroyed a good man's reputation. And Marcus DeWitt didn't build an empire by walking away from problems. He fixed them. Marcus approached cautiously, watching as Raymond handed perfectly crafted burgers to the excited boys. Their mother stood nearby, a mix of gratitude and embarrassment on her tired face. "How much do I owe you?" she asked, reaching for her purse. Raymond shook his head. "Like I said, they're my taste testers. Can't put a price on honest feedback." Marcus cleared his throat, stepping into view. "Those smell amazing. Any chance you've got one more?" Raymond looked up, studying the stranger before him. No flash of recognition crossed his face. Marcus's disguise was working. "Depends," Raymond said cautiously. "Who's asking?" "Just Mark," he replied, extending his hand. "I was eating at the diner when I caught the scent of real cooking." Raymond's expression hardened at the mention of the diner. "That place isn't what it used to be," he muttered. But pride made him reach for another patty. $5 if you want one of mine." As Raymond worked, Marcus noted the meticulous care in his movements, the same precision that had once made Liberty Street famous. His portable setup was ingenious despite its simplicity. A small camping grill, a cooler for ingredients, even a hand-washing station made from a water jug with a spigot. "You seem to know what you're doing," Marcus commented casually. Raymond flipped the patty with expert timing. "Should hope so. Spent 20 years as a chef before," he trailed off, focusing on the grill. The boys had wandered a few feet away, devouring their burgers while sitting on a nearby bench. Their mother approached Marcus. "I'm Elaine," she said quietly. "Ray's been a godsend for the neighborhood, keeps an eye on the kids, makes sure people who can't afford decent meals get something good occasionally." "Sounds like a good man," Marcus replied, watching Raymond carefully season the cooking meat. "The best," Elaine agreed. "What they did to him was shameful." "What happened?" Marcus asked, his heart pounding. Before she could answer, Raymond appeared with a perfectly wrapped burger. "Here. Nothing fancy, just good food." Marcus took a bite and nearly closed his eyes in satisfaction. This was the Liberty Street burger he remembered. The one that had put them on the map. The perfect blend of seasonings, quality meat cooked to medium perfection. The special sauce Raymond had created. "This is incredible," Marcus said truthfully. "Why aren't you working in a restaurant?" Something dark flickered across Raymond's weathered face. "Used to. Liberty Street Diner. Was there from day one, helped build the menu from scratch with." He stopped himself. "With the owner. Before he got too big to care about the little people." The words struck Marcus like a physical blow. Raymond thought he had abandoned the business? That couldn't be right. "What happened?" Marcus asked, pulling out his wallet. "Let me pay you properly for this masterpiece." Raymond waved away the $20 bill. Marcus offered. "Keep it, I charge just enough to buy ingredients for the next day." "Please," Marcus insisted. "This is worth more than $5. Raymond's pride showed in his rigid posture. "I don't take charity." "It's not charity," Marcus countered. "It's fair payment for exceptional work." After a moment, Raymond accepted the $5 only. Marcus noticed his hands, once immaculately clean as required in professional kitchens, were rough and chapped, with a healing burn mark on one thumb. "You never said what happened at Liberty Street," Marcus prompted gently. Raymond's eyes hardened. "New manager claimed I was stealing from inventory. Said he had security footage of me taking expensive ingredients. Complete fabrication, but the corporate office believed him without question." "That's terrible," Marcus said, genuine shock and anger in his voice. He'd never heard of any such accusation. "Did you try to fight it?" Raymond laughed bitterly. "Fight it? I was escorted out like a criminal. No severance, no hearing, blacklisted from other restaurants because of theft allegations. 15 years of perfect service, thrown away because some ambitious kid wanted to cut costs and bring in his own people." Marcus's mind raced. None of this had reached his desk. As CEO, he should have been notified about the termination of a founding employee, especially one accused of theft. "That's Kyle for you," Elaine added quietly. "Everyone knows he's crooked, but nobody can prove it." Marcus finished his burger in thoughtful silence. Raymond had clearly suffered, yet here he was, still cooking with passion, still serving the community. Meanwhile, the diner that bore Marcus's vision was unrecognizable. Overpriced, serving inferior food with unhappy staff. I should get going, Marcus said finally. But I'd like to come back tomorrow if that's okay. Raymond nodded briefly. I'm here at lunch most days. Weather permitting. As Marcus walked away, he pulled out his phone, not his usual executive model, but a prepaid one that couldn't be traced to him. He needed answers, and he knew exactly where to start digging. Someone had betrayed his trust and destroyed a good man's reputation. Someone would pay. Marcus sat in his hotel room, surrounded by printed emails and personnel files. He'd maintained his disguise for public appearances but worked through the night in his temporary headquarters, using his executive access to remotely pull records without alerting the corporate office. What he found disturbed him deeply. Raymond's personnel file contained a termination report signed by Kyle Henderson, citing theft of premium inventory items with an attached security footage still showing Raymond placing something in his backpack after hours. The image was grainy, the timestamp showing 11:43 p.m. well after closing. This doesn't add up, Marcus muttered, examining the pixelated photo. Raymond had been meticulous about inventory throughout their years working together. His phone rang. Diane, his longtime assistant who was the only person who knew about his undercover mission. I got what you asked for, she said. The complete security footage from that day is missing from the archive. Supposedly a server crash. Convenient, right? Too convenient, Marcus agreed. What about the staff list? I've arranged meetings with 3 employees who worked there during the incident. All off-site, all confidential. First one's in an hour at the coffee shop on Maple. Marcus dressed in his marked disguise and headed to the meeting. The coffee shop was quiet, tucked away from the main streets. A nervous-looking young woman sat in the corner booth, checking her watch repeatedly. Jenny? Marcus asked, sliding into the seat across from her. She nodded. You're the consultant doing the employee satisfaction survey? Marcus maintained his cover story. Yes. I understand you've worked at Liberty Street for 3 years? Almost 4, she corrected, fidgeting with her coffee cup. Look, is this really anonymous? Because I need this job. Completely confidential, Marcus assured her. I'm investigating historical patterns in employee retention. Can you tell me about when Raymond Johnson left? Jenny's expression darkened. You mean when Raymond was forced out? That was wrong. Over the next hour, Marcus spoke with Jenny and 2 other employees. Their stories aligned perfectly. Raymond had stayed late that night to inventory a special shipment of premium steaks for a weekend promotion. Kyle had insisted on handling the delivery himself instead of letting the regular supplier deliver during business hours. Kyle told us not to mention any of it, Jenny had explained. Said corporate was cracking down on overtime, and Raymond would get in trouble for staying late. But then the next day Raymond was gone. Kyle said he'd been caught stealing. Marcus's next stop was the regional office, where he used his CEO access code to enter after hours. He needed the original security footage, if it still existed. In the records room, Marcus found what he was looking for, a backup server that maintained duplicate copies of all security footage for legal compliance. The file labeled Liberty St. Johnson Termination was password protected, but as CEO, Marcus had the master override. What he saw made his blood boil. The complete footage showed Raymond carefully counting premium steaks, noting each one on his clipboard. He placed his personal lunch container, not stolen inventory, into his backpack before leaving. But more importantly, the footage showed Kyle entering 30 minutes after Raymond left, removing 2 premium steaks, and manipulating the inventory sheet. The footage Kyle had submitted as evidence had been deliberately edited to remove his own theft and make Raymond appear guilty. Marcus downloaded the complete video and called Diane. I need everything we have on Kyle Henderson, he instructed. Background check, employment history, financial records, everything. The resulting report told an alarming story. Kyle had been fired from 2 previous restaurant management positions for inventory discrepancies. He'd been recommended to Liberty Street by Peter Walton, the same regional director who had recently purchased a new boat despite no change in salary. A deeper look at the Liberty Street finances revealed subtle but significant patterns. Food costs mysteriously lower than possible, given the menu specifications. Labor hours cut while reported productivity remained high, and small but frequent cash balance adjustments, written off as registered discrepancies. Marcus compiled the evidence methodically. Kyle wasn't just running a cleaner operation, He was systematically skimming from every aspect of the business, cutting quality while raising prices, and pocketing the difference. The falsified theft charge against Raymond had been a calculated move to eliminate the one person who understood the inventory well enough to spot the deception. "Sir," Diane said when he called to discuss his findings, "HR closed this case without ever bringing it to your attention. There's a note in the file marked resolved at regional level, no escalation required. They deliberately kept this from reaching your desk." Marcus's hands tightened on his phone. Raymond had lost his career and reputation while corrupt managers profited from the business Marcus had built on principles of quality and integrity. "Book the conference room at Liberty Street for Thursday morning," Marcus instructed. "Invite the board members and alert PR for a special announcement." "What should I tell them it's regarding?" Diane asked. Marcus thought of Raymond cooking masterpieces beside a dumpster, while Kyle drove a new luxury car, bought with stolen profits. "Tell them, it's about returning to our roots," Marcus said grimly. "And Diane? Make sure every staff member at Liberty Street is scheduled to work that morning. Every single one." The time for hiding was over, but before the big reveal, Marcus had one more role to play in his Mark disguise. He needed to see exactly how Kyle operated when he thought the boss wasn't watching. The next morning, Marcus arrived at Liberty Street Diner wearing his Mark disguise and carrying a clipboard with official-looking forms. He approached the counter where Tasha was working. "Good morning," he said pleasantly. "I'm Mark Williams from DeWitt Restaurant Group corporate office. We're conducting a surprise operational assessment today." Tasha's eyes widened. "I'll get the manager." Kyle Henderson emerged from the back office moments later, his confident swagger faltering slightly at the sight of an unexpected inspector. He quickly recovered, extending his hand with a practiced smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Kyle Henderson, general manager. Wasn't informed about an inspection today. That's why they call it a surprise," Marcus replied coolly. "I'll need access to your operational spaces, inventory records and staff interviews." Kyle's smile tightened. "Of course. Though I should probably call Regional Director Walton to confirm." "By all means," Marcus interrupted, "though interrupting an official audit is grounds for immediate suspension." "Your choice." Kyle's hand, halfway to his phone, froze. "That won't be necessary. We have nothing to hide at Liberty Street." "Excellent," Marcus said. "Let's start with your kitchen." For the next 2 hours, Marcus methodically dismantled Kyle's operation. He documented expired ingredients repackaged with new dates. He photographed premium meat packages that had been partially emptied but recorded as fully used. He noted how staff time cards had been manually adjusted, shaving minutes from dozens of employees' hours. Throughout it all, Kyle hovered nervously, offering excuses and explanations that Marcus dutifully noted while internally cataloging each lie. "Our food cost percentage is the lowest in the region," Kyle boasted as they reviewed the books. "I've increased profit margins by nearly 18% since taking over." "Impressive," Marcus commented. "And what changes enabled such dramatic improvement?" Kyle launched into a practice speech about operational efficiencies and vendor negotiation. Never once mentioning the quality reductions or price increases Marcus had already documented. Meanwhile, Marcus had arranged for 3 secret shoppers, trusted employees from his corporate office, to visit as regular customers. Their reports came via text message to his burner phone: overcharges on final bills compared to menu prices, items listed as premium ingredients that were actually standard quality, and automatic gratuities added without customer knowledge. After reviewing the kitchen, Marcus observed the staff interactions. Kyle berated a young cook for using too much cheese on a sandwich that, according to the Liberty Street recipe manual, called for precisely the amount the cook had used. "We don't waste product here," Kyle snapped. "Every slice affects the bottom line." When Kyle stepped away to handle a delivery, Marcus approached the cook. "Has it always been like this?" he asked quietly. The young man glanced nervously toward Kyle's office. "Not when Chef Raymond was here. Things were different then." "Different how?" "We took pride in what we made. Quality mattered most. Now it's just about cutting corners and keeping Kyle happy." By noon, Marcus had seen enough of Kyle's operation. He made a show of completing his inspection, informing Kyle that his report would be filed with corporate. "One more thing," Marcus added casually. "I heard something about a former chef who now cooks near the Commons. Thought I might check it out." Compare the competition. Kyle's face darkened. Raymond Johnson, don't waste your time. He was terminated for theft, probably selling stolen goods from his little street operation. The casual cruelty with which Kyle dismissed Raymond's reputation cemented Marcus's resolve. He thanked Kyle for his time and left, heading straight for Raymond's makeshift cooking spot. He found Raymond setting up his portable grill, the same care evident in his preparations, despite his humble surroundings. Back again? Raymond asked when he spotted Mark approaching. Your burger yesterday was the best I've had in years, Marcus replied truthfully. Thought I'd help out today if you don't mind. I used to work in restaurants. Raymond studied him suspiciously, but nodded toward a box of onions. If you're serious, you can start by dicing those. Over the next 2 hours, Marcus worked alongside Raymond, chopping vegetables and assembling burgers as Raymond grilled. Without revealing his identity, he asked questions about Raymond's cooking philosophy, listening as the chef spoke passionately about quality ingredients and honoring customers through food prepared with integrity. That diner used to stand for something, Raymond said, flipping burgers with perfect timing. The owner, Marcus DeWitt, he started with nothing but believed everyone deserved good food at fair prices. We built that place on respect, he sighed. Guess things change when people get successful enough. Marcus felt the words like a knife to his heart. Maybe he doesn't know what's happening, he suggested. Raymond shook his head. A good leader knows what's happening in their business. Either he knows and doesn't care, or he's too disconnected to notice. Either way, it's a shame. As the lunch rush at Raymond's makeshift stand wound down, Marcus helped clean up, his mind made up. Raymond still embodied everything the Liberty Street brand was meant to represent: quality, integrity, and service, even while cooking beside a dumpster. I'll see you tomorrow, Raymond, Marcus said, extending his hand. Tomorrow's the big corporate visit at Liberty Street, Raymond replied. Neighborhood's been talking about it all week. Might be a slow day here. Marcus smiled enigmatically. Something tells me you'll want to be near Liberty Street around 10 a.m. tomorrow. Just trust me on this. Raymond looked confused, but nodded slowly. If you say so, Mark. Marcus walked away, shedding his disguise as he turned the corner. It was time for Marcus DeWitt, CEO, to make his grand entrance. The Blacktown car pulled up precisely at 9:45 a.m., drawing curious glances from Liberty Street staff peering through the windows. Word had spread that corporate executives were visiting today, and Kyle had the entire restaurant spotless, with every employee in freshly pressed uniforms. Marcus DeWitt emerged from the vehicle in his signature tailored navy suit, his normally close-cropped hair perfectly styled, gold cufflinks catching the morning light. Gone was any trace of Mark. This was the CEO in full executive presence, flanked by 3 board members and Diane carrying a leather portfolio. Kyle rushed to the door, smile plastered across his face. Mr. DeWitt, what an unexpected honor. We weren't told you'd be joining the executive visit personally. Marcus smiled thinly. I like to stay connected to our flagship locations, Kyle. Especially Liberty Street, where it all began. As they entered, Marcus noted how the staff straightened nervously. These weren't people proud of their workplace. These were employees afraid of making mistakes. I'd like a full tour, Marcus announced. Starting with the kitchen. Kyle led the procession through the diner, narrating achievements with practiced polish. We've increased profitability by 18% year over year while maintaining the Liberty Street experience our customers expect. Marcus nodded, saying nothing as they walked through spaces he had meticulously documented just yesterday. The board members followed, making appreciative noises at Kyle's presentation of efficiency improvements. In the kitchen, Marcus paused by the grill station. This isn't the original equipment, Kyle beamed. Great eye, sir. I replaced the old units with more efficient models. Saved thousands in gas consumption. Interesting, Marcus said. The Liberty Street burger was developed specifically for our custom grill surfaces. Different heat patterns create different flavor profiles. Kyle's smile faltered slightly. I wasn't aware of that significance, sir. No, Marcus said quietly. You weren't? They returned to the main dining area, now closed to customers for the executive visit. The staff stood in a nervous line as Kyle introduced each by name, though Marcus noticed he got several wrong. Well, Kyle, Marcus said, when the tour concluded, you've certainly made changes to Liberty Street. Thank you, sir. I wasn't finished, Marcus interrupted, his voice hardening. Changes that directly contradict the core principles on which I built this company. The room went silent. Kyle's smile disappeared. Sir? He managed. Marcus turned to address everyone. Liberty Street was founded on a simple premise: quality food at fair prices, served with dignity in a workplace that respects every employee and customer. He gestured around the room. Yesterday, I visited this diner as a customer. I paid $14.52 for a $9.99 burger meal that tasted nothing like our signature recipe. I observed staff afraid to make eye contact. I witnessed the kitchen cutting corners on every ingredient. Kyle's face drained of color as Marcus continued. But most disturbingly, I discovered what happened to Raymond Johnson, the chef who helped build Liberty Street's reputation. On cue, the front door opened. Raymond stood there, confusion evident on his face as he took in the scene. Marcus had texted him the address last night from his personal number, asking him to come without explanation. Raymond, Marcus called. Please join us. Raymond entered cautiously, his weathered work clothes a stark contrast to the executive suits. Recognition dawned in his eyes as he saw Marcus without the disguise. You're Mark? Marcus DeWitt, he confirmed, extending his hand. Though we met as Mark over the last few days. Kyle stepped forward. Mr. DeWitt, this man was terminated for cause. He stole nothing. Marcus cut him off sharply. Raymond stole nothing. He nodded to Diane, who connected her laptop to the dining room's training screen. The unedited security footage began to play, showing clearly what had really happened the night Raymond was accused. This footage shows Raymond properly inventorying a delivery that you, Kyle, insisted on scheduling after hours. Marcus explained as the board members watched in stunned silence. It also shows you returning later to steal premium steaks and falsifying inventory records. The footage continued, showing Kyle carefully editing the video to create the false evidence against Raymond. But Raymond didn't just leave without fighting back, Marcus continued. He had installed his own camera after noticing inventory discrepancies. A second video appeared on screen, footage from a small camera hidden among kitchen supplies, showing Kyle's actions from another angle. Raymond stepped forward. I knew something wasn't right with the numbers. When I was accused, I tried to tell Mr. Walton about my evidence, but he refused to look at it. Marcus turned to Kyle, whose face had gone from pale to ashen. You didn't just steal product. You stole a man's reputation. You destroyed his career. You damaged this company's integrity, and you betrayed my trust. He turned to two security officers who had entered quietly. Please escort Mr. Henderson off the premises. His employment is terminated, effective immediately. The police will receive our evidence of theft and fraud. As Kyle was led away, protesting weakly, Marcus turned to Raymond. On behalf of DeWitt Restaurant Group, I owe you an apology, and an offer. He gestured around the kitchen. Liberty Street needs its heart back. I'd like to appoint you head of culinary operations, with full authority to rebuild our menu and kitchen culture. Raymond stood stunned as applause erupted from the staff. Marcus extended his hand. What do you say, Raymond? Ready to come home? 3 months after the dramatic confrontation, Liberty Street Diner hummed with renewed energy. The aroma of freshly ground spices and sizzling burgers filled the air as Raymond moved confidently through his redesigned kitchen, watching his newly trained staff with quiet pride. The renovation had been swift and comprehensive. Raymond had insisted on restoring the original grill equipment, arguing successfully that the authentic Liberty Street flavor couldn't be replicated on standard commercial grills. The kitchen layout had been reconfigured to his specifications, emphasizing efficiency without sacrificing quality. Chef, the weekend delivery is here, called Elaine, now the diner's assistant manager. Her employment had been Raymond's first request after accepting Marcus's offer. Single mother of 2 with management experience and work ethic like I've never seen, he had explained. Just needs a chance. Marcus had approved without hesitation. The transformation in Elaine was remarkable, her tired expression replaced by confident competence as she directed the morning staff. In the dining area, young Tommy, Elaine's older son, carefully refilled water glasses during his weekend shift. At 12 he was too young for regular employment, but Marcus had created a special junior assistant program that allowed neighborhood kids to earn pocket money on weekends while learning restaurant operations. The bell above the door jingled as Marcus entered, dressed casually in jeans and a Liberty Street polo shirt, his new tradition for Friday visits. "Morning, team?" he called, receiving cheerful greetings from staff who no longer tensed at the sight of management. Raymond emerged from the kitchen, wiping his hands on his pristine chef's apron. "Right on time. Got something new for you to try." The two men had repaired their friendship quickly, bonding over late-night menu planning sessions and a shared vision for what Liberty Street could become again. Raymond's new role gave him authority over culinary standards across all 63 locations, though he insisted on maintaining his hands-on presence at the flagship diner. "First batch of staff retraining complete," Raymond reported as they settled at Marcus's usual corner booth. 17 locations refreshed, quality metrics already climbing. Marcus nodded, reviewing the report Raymond handed him. Customer satisfaction up 12% and food costs actually down despite using better ingredients. Turns out not wasting food and stealing product improves the bottom line, Raymond remarked dryly. Who knew? Their conversation was interrupted as Denny, Elaine's younger son, burst through the door waving a paper excitedly. Chef Ray, I got an A on my project." Raymond's stern expression softened as he accepted the school paper, a report titled, "How to Run a Restaurant," with hand-drawn illustrations of Liberty Street's kitchen. "Well done, young man," Raymond said, examining the work seriously. "Excellent attention to detail." The boy beamed. "Mom said I can have a celebration burger. The best one in the house," Raymond agreed, nodding to the kitchen staff who had already started preparing it. Marcus watched the interaction with satisfaction. This was what he had envisioned when founding Liberty Street, not just a restaurant, but a community cornerstone. "The weekend meal program launches tomorrow," Raymond said, returning to business. "We've got 30 families signed up already." The free meal initiative had been Marcus's idea, a way to give back to the community that had supported Liberty Street from the beginning. Every weekend, families in need could enjoy quality meals free of charge, with Raymond personally overseeing the menu. "I've been thinking," Marcus said, "about expanding this model. Not just the free meals, but the whole approach, the community integration, the youth program, the emphasis on quality and integrity." Raymond raised an eyebrow. "Franchise-wide? Why not? Every Liberty Street should be what this one has become." Marcus gestured around the bustling diner. "A place where food matters and people matter more." The kitchen doors swung open as a server emerged, carrying what appeared to be a perfectly crafted burger on a wooden board. "The Liberty Legacy," Raymond announced proudly. "Our new signature item." The burger showcased everything that made Raymond's cooking special: attention to detail, quality ingredients, and perfect execution. The house-baked bun, the precise ratio of toppings, the perfectly seared patty. "To new beginnings," Marcus said, raising half the burger in a toast before taking a bite. As the afternoon progressed, Marcus moved through the diner, chatting with customers and staff alike. The regional director position, once held by Peter Walton, now under investigation along with Kyle, had been filled by a longtime employee who shared Marcus's vision. Near closing time, Marcus noticed a family entering. Parents with 3 children, clearly counting coins before approaching the counter. The mothers spoke quietly to the cashier, asking about the most affordable options. Before the cashier could respond, Raymond appeared. "You must be the Johnsons," he said warmly. "We've been expecting you. Your table is ready." The family looked confused but followed Raymond to a prepared booth. "First participants in our new Friday family night," Raymond explained to Marcus with a wink. "Every family deserves a night out, regardless of budget." As Marcus walked toward the exit, he passed Denny and Tommy, now proudly wearing junior assistant badges as they helped wipe down tables. "Mr. DeWitt," Denny called out. "Chef Ray says I'm getting lifetime burger privileges 'cause I helped save the diner. Is that true?" Marcus laughed. "Absolutely true. You and your brother both. If you hadn't been talking behind me in line that day, none of this might have happened." Outside, the evening sun cast long shadows across Liberty Street. Marcus paused, looking back at the diner's glowing windows, at Raymond teaching a young cook the perfect flip technique, at Elaine efficiently managing the front counter, at children and adults alike enjoying meals prepared with care and integrity. Sometimes the best audits don't happen on spreadsheets, he thought, smiling as he walked away. They start in whispers behind you.